have returned with a very exciting video. I'm excited for it. I don't know if it's gonna be exciting for you, but it's exciting for me. My grandma, she lives with us. She's been living with us for about maybe 2 years, but she's an artist, and that's where I get my inspiration and stuff. Oh, my light is not bright enough. Hello? Oh boy, that hurts my eyes. I hope I didn't mess up the lighting. My grandma has lived with us for about 2 years, and she's an artist, and that's where I get, my talent from and my inspiration, because ever since I was little, I always wanted to be like my grandma, and I wanted to be like my grandma. Every time I finish a project, I love going to show her because she's the cutest thing. She's the cutest thing, because whenever I show her a new project that I finished, she's always so happy, and she's always so impressed and so proud, and I love my grandma. And so we're going to feature her in today's video. I want to go and ask her about art and stuff, and so you guys can also get to know my grandma, and she's cool. And what I'm painting is going to be inspired off of my grandma, and it's also going to be inspired by Huevember. And Huevember is like Inktober, except instead of using inks, you use a single color and you play with the hue and the saturation and whatnot. And so I'm going to be combining my grandma with Huevember. So that's what we're doing today. So I guess let's go meet my grandma. Hey grandma, what? Do you want to be interviewed?
Interviewed for what? And who would interview me?
What?
Who would interview me and
Me.
what for?
Because you're an artist.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I just play around with it.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing, so I guess we're even.
So I guess I'm just asking what inspired you to make art and stuff.
I really don't know. I used to color when I was really, really little. And that's all I remember about starting that. And I colored all the time.
You color all the time now too.
Yep.
How did you, get better? Did you have someone teach you, or you just did it?
Most of it is just keep on doing it and doing it better each time. But I did take some art classes one time, and they kind of showed me how to figure out how to blend colors together and do things like that. Actually, the coloring itself is just something you do to stay inside the lines or outside or whatever. I remember my mom telling me how she had to be careful with me because I would color anything in the house with my crayons when I was little. So she had to take them away from me every once in a while.
Did you paint on anything else besides canvases?
Besides canvas? Oh yeah. I painted anything that got in my way because I'd pick up something that looked kind of blah and I'd go paint it.
Didn't you paint trash cans one time?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. I'd forgotten about that. I painted our trash cans for the garbage. And I forget what I put on them, but I painted it all over them, designs, flowers, or whatever. And the first time I set them out for the garbage man to pick up, it was so funny because there was always two men that came. One drove the truck, the other one got out and emptied the cans. So the guy that got out and emptied the cans looked at him, stood back like this, and motioned to his driver to come here, and his driver came over there, and they looked at the cans, and they looked all around them, and they were real careful when they picked them up and dumped them that they didn't hit them on the thing.
How did you get into baking? Because I know you made cakes and decorated cakes and stuff.
I don't know how I got started on that. I just liked to bake, and I'd make cakes at home for family birthdays and stuff. And then I started getting so many compliments on them, so I started taking pictures of what I was doing. And then I had quite a few people that would have me make cakes. My biggest project was a wedding cake And I say a wedding cake, but it was actually, I think, 3 cakes. It was the big one, which stood about this tall when I put it together. Because it was, a big, and then it gets smaller and smaller. Yeah. And then she had what they call side cakes, and they were kind of like that. They were tiered, but not that big. And I made those for a wedding one time. And I remember we were in the van. We had the van then, and Dad was going to take me to the wedding, or to this place where we were having the reception afterwards. And I'm sitting there in the back of the van, and I had my legs spread out like this. I had one section of cake sitting between my legs. Mm-hmm. Then I had sections of cakes on the side of me that I was holding with my arms like this. And he went to go over the railroad tracks. It had to go like that. And I'm screaming, "Don't hit him up, don't hit him up." And he took me all the way from our house to wherever the wedding was. And with all these cakes, because I couldn't layer them together yet. Jeez. And everybody complimented on cakes and stuff, so that made me feel real good.
You were just like, yes, that's my cake. I'm fabulous. You're just fabulous. You are just a master of all trades.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Master of none.
No, you were master of all. I said master of all trades, not jack of all trades and master of none.
It's just fun to do.
Thank you, Grandma.
You're welcome.
Now that we've talked to my grandma a bit, we're going to bring out the item that is going to be painted. My grandma had a box of wood things that were meant to be painted on. I still have some of these items from this box I want to paint, and this hummingbird was in it. Like I said in the intro, I'm going to be painting this to go along with Huevember, so I will only be using primary blue and friends. Now, I wanted to paint this to be a little inspired by my grandma. She tended to paint flowers and more nature-esque things, which is exactly what this is, hence why I'm painting it. I'm going to paint over the entire thing with a few coats of white so that the paint doesn't soak into the wood and my colors are bright like they're supposed to be. This wood piece clearly has holes in it and it's thick, so the edges of the flowers and hummingbird are very visible. So I'm going to paint inside of all that. The only problem is that some of the holes are ridiculously tiny and they're freaking annoying to paint. So I had to fiddle with that for a little, but luckily it wasn't very noticeable on the tiny holes. This step is kind of boring and there's nothing really to say about it, so let's just skip that. Let's ignore the back and get painting. really hope you enjoyed this video because I did. You also got to meet my grandma, so that's cool. But I hope you have a fantabulous rest of your day. Bye.